Welcome in to Movin The Chains. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps here for our Week 2 preview show. John, last week was crazy. Blowouts, upsets, all kinds of stuff. But this week's slate of games, there's some really big non-region contests on the docket here. We had a hard time picking our games of the week and things like that because there's just so many big matchups, it feels like.
Yeah, and we had such a fun week last Friday with so many upsets and games. We were like, wow, I didn't expect that team to beat those guys. This week, there are just a slew of ball games where there's two really good teams on the field, and I don't say it's a blowout if either one of them wins a lot of these games Friday. Just two good teams going at it. Really good slate of games this week.
For sure. So Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. If you guys are just tuning in, we appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook here. Like our page. Share it. Tell all your friends. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Website, movinchains.com, MOVINCHAINS.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Do our live preview show every Tuesday night, usually 7 or 8 o'clock. Have a recap show. Comes out Sundays. Do lots of great interviews and pick them and all things throughout the week as well, John. But let's get going here looking at our CONA games of the week. 5 of the biggest games across the state. Let's start here with a team that we actually had in the game last week that you saw in person, John, and that's Fairfield Central traveling to Chester. The 2A Griffins are 2-0 in the season, defeated AJ 33-16 last week. Chester also 2-0, defeated Fort Mill 38-24 last week, John. I think this has got the makings of a really, really fun ball game.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You've got two really good teams getting together in a really cool environment there at Chester. Great stadium there if you haven't been there before. This is going to be a really fun one with a lot of talent on the football field, especially on the offensive side of the ball for the Cyclones and the Griffins. Watching Fairfield Central last Friday, they're definitely one of, arguably, you could argue it, and I think a lot of the people in the stands Friday night were interested, maybe the best team in 2A. They certainly have got a chance to be able to prove that the rest of the season and make a big stake in that claim Friday up in Chester. And then you flip on the other side with the Cyclones. They had a pretty good year last year, have a lot returning this year, and they've gotten started really on the right foot to start off the season this year. I think they played Lancaster and Fort Mill first 2 games. And I know those bigger schools, they have depth. But I think from a talent perspective, this is going to be their toughest test so far.
Last week, Elijah Coleman for Chester ran it 23 times for 189 and 4 touchdowns, John. Trooper Floyd, the quarterback, he's got some experience now. I wouldn't call him necessarily a dual threat guy, but he's a guy that can really extend plays and can move around when he needs to. He's not a true runner, I wouldn't say, but he's a good player back there. Obviously, coach's son knows what he's doing there. Defensively, Reggie Heath, Antonio Hopkins, Torrey Radford, all big-time players for the Cyclones. On the Fairfield Central side, Cam McMillan, sophomore quarterback, 15 for 22, 254, 2 touchdowns last week. Huge game from Tadarian Greer. 6 receptions, 135 rushing. Sorry, 6. No, okay. Sorry.
It was basically rushing.
Tadarian
a lot
Greer.
Of hot passes.
Yeah, 135 rushing yards, 140 receiving yards. Huge game for him last week, John. And that defense, too, holding a good Andrew Jackson team to 16 points. Really impressive. Last year in this matchup, Chester won 34-32, and that was down in Fairfield Central. Back at home this year, John, this is a really fun ball game, really close ball game. I kind of want to go with Fairfield Central on the road here because I love that offense with Greer and McMillan.
Yeah, I tell you what, and those are the guys that you see, popping off in the newspapers, and, we talk about them a lot. You talk about Fairfield Central shutting down a good Andrew Jackson team last Friday. Thompson for Andrew Jackson's a real deal at running back, and he got his yards. He had a great game, but Andrew Jackson had a hard time throwing the football. That Fairfield Central secondary does play very good football. They're disciplined. They are. They were all over those wide receivers. They're just, as you would expect, they're an athletic group. They play really good football on the defensive side of the ball too, and they tackle well. They tackle well, and they didn't. Or at least Friday, they didn't have any mistakes. You didn't see a whole lot of penalties. They're disciplined. They're very good. The offensive side is the stronger suit.
Yeah.
But they're good enough to play good enough defense to beat this Chester team.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I'm leaning Fairfield Central, but it should be a great ball game Friday night. Our second CONA game of the week, South Carolina's longest rivalry, oldest rivalry, whatever you want to call it. Camden 2-0 at Hartsville 2-0 over in Kellytown. A heck of a ball game. Corey said he's got Camden over Hartsville. Drellin actually saw this ball game last year. Hartsville won 36-29. Actually, was probably a little bit closer than that. They scored late, went for 2 to go up by a point. Ended up scoring last play of the game, just kind of a garbage touchdown there. But a big-time ball game here. Always a lot of fun. The Bulldogs and Red Foxes get together. Camden 59-6. Let's look at Lugoff Elgin. Grayson White went 16 for 19 and 226. Wide receiver John Mayrant had 9 catches, $129. We know about running back Avery Hickman's a big-time player. Defensive back Jordan Krim, one of the best DBs in the state. Really a good ball hawk back there. Also, Wilson Nash and Wyatt Thompson on that side of the ball there. Hartsville 55-26 over Darlington. An eventful ball game. Had some issues in the stands. Had to clear that out and let just the players in there the second half there as that one went on. But the Red Foxes do prevail. Quarterback McKendry Douglas is a great player. One of our Super 75 guys. I love watching him play. They got a 2-headed monster at running back, John. How about this? Last week, Carmelo McDaniel, 19 for 203 and 2 touchdowns. And then Hakeem Waters, 17 for 278 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's 480 yards between 2 running backs. That's huge, huge, huge numbers right there. Defensively, Webb Barnes, Demarion Coe, both 100-plus tackle guys last year. You know, Coach Calabrese has been around for a long time. I love that kind of spread flex. They're out of kind of the pistol there. It's so much fun to watch. You know, always a great ball game here, John. Can Camden go on the road to Kellytown and win this one, you think?
Yeah, they can. I like Hartsville by a little bit in this ball game. The fact that they're getting to play at home, I think is a big deal. If this game was in Zent and Camden was hosting, I might side with the Bulldogs. Both of them have been very impressive out of the gates, but neither team has really been tested yet. Yeah. Obviously, they both are certainly going to get tested this Friday. I like Hartsville a little bit in this one, but Camden definitely has the talent. You know, Mayrant outside, I think, is something. You know, he's got another year under his belt now. He can really step up and be the go-to guy to stretch the field for the Bulldogs. I feel like they've needed that. Mm-hmm. Grayson White now. His fourth year
I think now? 4th year starting quarterback.
At least third year, full year starting. You know, he's comfortable at that quarterback position. I think he missed on 3 passes.
Yep, 16 for 19 last week.
You know, he has become a very sharp quarterback now. Throwing the football, he was more of a runner early on, as you would expect. But yeah, this is gonna be a great ball game, and whoever wins this game's got to play well. I like Hartsville by a little bit because they're at home mainly. Yeah, but boy, Camden can win this game, and I wouldn't really call it that much of an upset if they did.
I mean, you got 2 of the best coaches in the state with Jeff Calabrese at Hartsville and Brian Remp at Camden. Those guys flat out know how to get it done. I mentioned, the South Carolina's longest rivalry been going on since 1922. John, this is the 93rd meeting between the 2 teams. I mean, that's pretty nuts. I guess you missed a few years there. Could have been war times. I don't know when or why, but 93 out of basically 101 years is pretty daggum solid there for the Bulldogs and Red Foxes. But, yeah, I think we both like Hartsville in a close one, but should be a can't-miss ball game. If you're in that area, that is one you want to be in attendance for sure. Our third CONA game of the week, another team we saw in one of our games of the week last week, John, and that's Midland Valley. They're 2-0, traveling down to Petticoat Junction to take on Silver Bluff, also 2-0. Midland Valley victorious 21-16 over Strom Thurmond last week. Silver Bluff blanked Sockasty 46-0. Last year, Midland Valley won this ball game 27-20. That was early in the year. Obviously, Silver Bluff was still a young team. They were really starting to kind of figure it out still at that point. Hadn't got it really going yet. But Midland Valley behind Trayvon Dunbar, 26 for 309, 2 touchdowns last week, John. Power rushing attack there. We know what Silver Bluff's got on defense with Eason and Fuller and Boyd. This is a big-time heavyweight physical matchup, I feel like.
Yeah, and this is gonna be awesome. The Silver Bluff guys, even if they're friends with Dunbar, they're gonna want to, be able to stuff them every play. They're gonna have a little something extra for that game Friday. But yeah, it's great to see Midland Valley good again. Yeah, this is gonna be a heck of a ball game. Really, I think gonna be a really physical ball game. Dunbar's a guy, and Silver Bluff knows it just as good as anybody else. You don't want to tackle him by a shoestring, boy. You gotta hit him. You got to really bring him down, your arms and your shoulders and everything else. I think he's the best player on the football field, and I think that makes the difference in this ball game. I like the Mustangs. Again, I want to say this probably all night, just by a little bit. I think Silver Bluff may have the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Midland Valley at home.
No,
Dunbar. It's at Silver Bluff.
Josh changed his mind mid show here. Mid show here. But
we'll get back to Silver Bluff.
Yeah, Midland Valley outside of Dunbar. The new quarterback Preston Butler. Not asking him to throw it a whole lot. Not having to do much right now. Defensively, got guys like Haskins and Morgan's there. Head coach Earl Chapman. You mentioned it's great to see them being a solid program, but he comes from that Camden tree, that Coach Rimp tree. He knows what it's like to win. He's got those guys heading in the right direction. Silver Bluff, quarterback Mackenzie Atterbury, really good dual threat guy. Wide receiver Hazari Grant is a special playmaker out on the outside of the ball there. We mentioned defense with Jordan Boyd and Jaden Fuller and Jay Neeson. How about this? Last week, John, player of the week, Jay Neeson. 20 tackles, 2 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. I mean, just living in the backfield. I mean, just eating Sockesty alive. Had nowhere to go there from Jaden. I am super excited to see this defense against Dunbar and see how that goes. But I'll tell you what, I'm leaning Silver Bluff because, one, they're at home. Petticoat Junction, not an easy place to play. But I think I feel a little bit more solid in the fact that they may have 2 different options on offense. They can run a little bit with the running back. They can throw a little bit with Atterbury. He can run it as well. Well, I feel like Midland Valley may be a little bit one-dimensional there on the ground with Dunbar. And obviously that may be enough to win you 10 games because he's that good of a football player. But I think Silver Bluff's got a chance to win this at home, especially coming off last year's loss to those guys.
I'm agreeing with you now. I've changed my mind.
But that will be a big-time ballgame in there at Petticoat Junction. Coach Bryant, Coach Chapman going at it should be a lot of fun. Our 4th CONA game of the week here. This is one, I mean, go back 10, 20, 30 years, John, maybe. A massive ball game here. Just massive down in the low country. Lost some luster the last few years, but I think with some new hires are starting to go back the right direction. And that's the Berkeley Stags traveling to play the Summerville Green Wave. Berkeley 2-0, Summerville 1-0. Last year, non-competitive ball game. Summerville wins 38-6. Berkeley 2-0 in the year. Like I said, they defeated Hanahan 34-33 last week. Summerville went on the road and defeated Carolina Forest 33-26. Berkeley, led by freshman quarterback Henry Rivers, had 237 and 2 touchdowns. Really good player there for him. He's going to be a superstar. Running back Isaiah Palmer had 112 and 2 touchdowns. I love Caden Bash on the outside. He's an electric playmaker for them. Joe Rouse on defense is doing a good job. Summerville, quarterback Jaden Cummings, 15 for 25, 224, and 4 touchdowns last week. Running back Trey Green, wide receiver Yannick Smith, the East Carolina commit, went 5 for 115 and 2 touchdowns last week. He's a stud, big-time playmaker. Last year we talked about the Summerville Green Wave defense all year long, how stout that defense was. I don't know if they're as good this year. Giving up 26 to Carolina Forest last week scared me a little bit. Had some problems stopping the run game. I like this Berkeley team a lot, but I think they may be a year or two away still from being that top-notch 5A power.
I was going to say nearly exactly the same thing. Berkeley has shown incredible improvement already here the first 2 games of the year over the last couple years. I think they're going to have a great season. Not great season for them, great improvement. I think much improved. But I agree with you. I think they're a couple steps away from where Summerville is right now. I think Summerville wins this game, but Berkeley can prove to be, Zach, you are correct. In the media poll, they are number 1 right now. If Berkeley can keep this game pretty competitive, I think that's going to build even more confidence for the Stags going through the rest of the season, knowing that, just like Zach was bringing up, right now they're the number 1 team in 5A, and deservingly so. They're 2-0 or 1-0 rather.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some other big names in 5A have taken a little gut punch already this year. So I think, good measuring stick for Berkeley Friday. And I know people don't like to talk about moral victories, and you want to win the game for sure. But if you lose at something and keep it close, competitive, that's something you can really build on going through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and just so impressive what Coach Lodge has done so far. And this is a program that was, kind of, just left for dead almost. Not doing well at all, has come in and had them win 2 close games already. They're fighting, they're believing in the program, they're believing in the system, which is really, really cool to see. Don't know if they've got the depth quite yet, like I said, to beat Summerville, but we'll see. But this is a mashup with Coach Lodge at Berkeley and Coach Rafferty at Summerville. I think we're going to see for a long time. 2 really good coaches, 2 younger guys who I think are going to be the programs for quite a while. So this is just game one in what is going to be a series of matchups between those two, I think, over the years, John.
Yeah, and Summerville better get out the gate quick because Berkeley's already proved in both of their first two games, hey, they can win a close game.
Yep.
And if the longer this game is very, very close, more of a chance Berkeley's got to win this ball game. You don't want to get those boys thinking they can knock off Summerville late in the fourth quarter. But should be a good game.
No doubt about it. So now our SCISA game of the week brought to you by CONA. Laurence Manning 2-0 against Wilson Hall 1-0. A big rivalry game here. Last year, Laurence Manning defeated Wilson Hall 19-7. Laurence Manning 2-0, including a victory over Pinewood Prep and Lake City. Beat Pinewood 34-19 last week. Tyler June, big game. Bryson Hodge, big game. In that Lake City game, John, they held them to 26 yards of offense. Gave up 20 points, but 2 of those were special returns for touchdowns.
Wow.
But 26 yards of offense, super impressive there. Wilson Hall, quarterback Clark Kinney, not asked to throw a whole lot with that offense they run there. Running backs Dylan Jones, Miles Van Patten, both touchdowns last week. Defensively, Owen Myers, Landon Galley, Ben McLaurin lead that side of the ball for them. Obviously, Laurence Manning, a 4A school, Wilson Hall, 3A school there in SCISA. But a big rivalry matchup. Both teams pretty good here. Can the lower level team, the Barons at home, pull something off, you think?
I think Laurence Manning's playing too good of football right now.
They're playing really good.
I mean, they've been very impressive. I picked them. I know they were in our pick'em first week. I think they were in our pick'em last week too. I'm not sure.
Look and see. I don't remember.
I would have picked against them both weeks.
Yeah.
I know I picked against them in week 0. I probably would have picked against them last week too.
Yeah.
And they're 2-0. Two really, really impressive wins in my book. And I think they get win number 3 Friday too.
Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think Laurence Manning, a little too much talent right now. I like the June kid a lot. He's playing some quarterback and receiver, actually. Very impressive. And that defense is tough too. But that Wilson Hall offense, keep it on the ground a lot. If they can hang around early, not turn it over, they got a chance as well. But I like the Swamp Cats here with Coach First to win that ball game. So once again, our 5 CONA games of the week. We've got Fairfield Central at Chester, Camden at Hartsville, Midland Valley at Silver Bluff, Berkeley at Summerville, and then Laurence Manning at Wilson Hall. Jarrell, any comments we need to go through on those games of the week from the chat here before we move into the next segment?
Yeah, let's just roll through them real quick.
Yeah, man, I know you're excited for that Gaffney South Point ball game this Friday night. Anthony Berry, Jarrell Williams from Marlboro County, 4.5 sacks, 10 tackles, a huge ball game. They got after them. He had a big game, so did Purvis. How was Quay Scott now Player of the Week? Corey, the problem is we had a lot of really good nominees. Quay Sheed, 4 touchdowns, a stud. We had him actually Player of the Week one time last week. I'm sure his name will be there a lot this year with more options for sure, but a lot of good options across the state. Zach says, good evening. Red Devils rely more on the defense this week. A couple of injuries. Yeah, Jaden Robinson going down is tough. They played Newberry. We'll talk about that game here in a little bit for sure. Derek, good to see you, buddy. Tough loss for the Patriots last week. They're going to get better. They'll keep figuring it out. Greg, what's going on, man? Hey, Big A is rolling again, man. They don't get stopped very often, do they? Adrian just got done for youth football practice. Appreciate you. Louisville, number 1 in the new media pro. Appreciate you. Denmark Olar.
Yeah.
Terrence, great ball game. And I guess the quarterback and receiver, if that's your kids, man, they are balling out right now. They are playing some very good football down there. Let's go, Latta Vikings. Latta's 2-0. They're looking really good as well, John.
All the Vikings are playing good.
They are playing some good football down there, too. Marion, that was a huge win. That they were on our stock up on our recap show. Came out Sunday. Last year they had a lead on that Wilson team, couldn't hold on. This year, beat them. Big win there for the Swamp Foxes. Yes, Henry Rivers, Stag's freshman quarterback, is very good, Jeffrey. You're exactly right. He is going to be a stud. He's already got a great body size. Will get better and better. Tough game for the Gaffney, no doubt about it. South Point is always a challenge. You do get them at home, obviously, which is big. So we'll see. Jefferson Somerville by 21. Could happen, man. I hope Berkeley keeps it close, but we'll see. That should be a great ball game.
Got to score some points.
And I'll pop in for this last comment.
Yeah, Drew.
Yeah, Patrick was definitely listening to the recap show that we did the other day. I was just wondering, man. It was 56-7. You guys out here blocking punts. I was just trying to see what was going on, but I did see an interview after the game.
You got to play hard till all the zeros.
Yeah, where they shortened it. They condensed the quarter. So, yeah, I was just giving them a hard time. Good win for Gaffney, though, this past weekend.
I love it. Anything else, Darrell, we need to roll through before we get into friends of the program and then actually statewide schedule?
Nope. Let's go ahead and run and thank these sponsors real quick.
Perfect.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjointfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolyn. Drill, we back?
We're gonna have to invoice Patrick for that.
Technical difficulty.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
All right, well, back on Moving the Chains, our Week 2 preview show here. John, let's take a look, starting up at 5A, roll through that schedule for this week. Throw in some comments on some ball games. If you guys want to hear about your team in 5A, let us know. If you got thoughts on the ball game, throw it in the chat as well, and we'll definitely mention it and kind of go through that section there.
First 2 games, I got no idea. And they're both in the upstate. So with 5A, we've got the bad boy Chapman Panthers will be going to Boiling Springs on Friday to see if they can knock off their second 5A opponent in 2 weeks. I think they got a really, really good chance.
This is a great game. You know, Bowling Springs played TL Hanna pretty close to week 0. We're like, okay, you know, Matt Reel doing some good things year 2. But then that TL Hanna team turns around and beats Greenville and kind of had the game in hand all week, you know, all night long. And then Bowling Springs just lays the hammer down on Malden, 55-0, I think it was. Maybe Matt Reel and the boys are I guess, the real deal, if you want to, you know, use that pun there. But then Chapman, I mean, look really good week 0 over Woodruff, score a lot of points there. Fight back from a 14-0 deficit to beat Burns last week at home. I'm going to go Bowling Springs because they're at home in this one. But I think these are 2 teams that trend in the right direction. I'm really excited to see how this ball game goes here.
I think if Boiling Springs plays like they did these first 2 games, I think they win the ball game too. And I don't know enough about that team this year to know if, boy, they played really, really good these first 2 weeks and had some things go their way. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the case. Or maybe they're just much more improved this year. But Chapman, you know, I know we talked to Rob Brown in Spaces Friday night. It sounded like Burns kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit in that football game. But, hey, you know, I'm sure Chapman didn't play the perfect game either. You know, that's football. You're going to have some mistakes in a 4-quarter game. I like Bowling Springs because they're at home too, and they've looked really good these first 2 weeks. But, yeah, that's going to be a great game. I think Chapman can go into that game Friday night with 100% confidence knowing, hey, we got a really good chance of winning this ball game. They probably are looking at it and going, they should win the ball game.
Yeah, young lefty quarterback for Bowling Springs, Lincoln Husky, named a name to remember. He's a gunslinger for sure. But let's look at some more ball games here, John.
Talking about Burns, over in Duncan at Nixon Field, the Greenville Red Raiders will be coming to town. Doesn't get any easier for Burns.
Yeah.
They're stepping up in competition for sure here with Greenville. This can be a really good game. I think Greenville wins this ball game. I think Burns, we'll see if they can bounce back from that loss they certainly did not expect to have last Friday against Chapman over there in Inman. But Greenville, they're so talented. They're so talented. We can say the same thing about Burns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are somewhat similar programs, I think, right now, in that they got some great talent on the outside. You know, some veterans outside, veteran weapons as well. But I think in this ball game, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe I've lost it, I think Greenville might be a little bit better.
Yeah, great point there, Nathan. Yeah, that was a shock to me, the way that ball game turned out. You know, this Burns Greenville game, athletes all over the field. You know, Mazio Bennett, of course, Jay Sherman. Then you got guys like, you know, Armani Weaver, Kamir Spogmore on the other side of the ball. Could be a lot of points in this one. We'll see. Still kind of confused with the whole rotating quarterbacks there for Greenville. Not sure what's going on with that. And then, you know, Burns, rumors of a quarterback switch for them. We'll see what happens, what they come out with on Friday night. This is a big ball game for both teams. Coming off a loss, you know, if you're either one of these teams, if you get beat, okay, but you got to be competitive. You don't want to, you know, do some weird stuff in this ball game, but should be a really fun one there on Friday night.
Yeah, I think you got more pressure on Burns because you don't want to go, you know, and I know Chapman and Greenville are good programs, but you don't want to schedule you know, Chapman's 3A, you know, 3A and then the 4A team and go 0-2 in those ball games.
Yeah.
You know, that's not something you want to do for the kind of season that Burns is hoping to have. But hey, they're not the only 5A team that's been bit by a smaller school already this year too.
Yeah.
But it's no matter what, I think it's gonna be a really, really fun game. Ton of talent. Should be some good football.
Yep.
So moving on, we'll go down on the Grand Strand. We'll have Ocean. This is a cool ball game here.
Mhm.
Have Oceanside going to Carolina Forest. I thought Carolina Forest, was very competitive with Summerville in their first game of the year. We know Oceanside's very, very good. I think this could be a pretty good ball game. I like Oceanside a little bit in this one, but if Carolina Forest is able to pull off this win, I think you guys say, okay, well, Carolina Forest is actually pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is two really, pretty talented teams here. I like Oceanside as a lower class team to win this, and they beat these guys last year at home. I think Carolina Forest is still figuring out a couple pieces for them right now, so I like Oceanside a little bit more. But that should be a neat, fun ball game too.
Here's a game I know you're excited about: Hillcrest going into York County. You're going to play Clover over there. Expect Hillcrest to win this game.
Yeah.
They should win this game. But based on what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the season, nothing is guaranteed. And Clover is certainly good enough to put a scare in this one.
Yeah, I was surprised how that Clover Northwestern game went last week. It was 7-6 early. Northwestern just put the hammer down on those boys, and Clover didn't score again. Perry Woolbright, great offensive mind, had some trouble on offense last week. I mean, just to be flat out honest about it. Hillcrest keeps laying in the weeds, man. The Rams are playing good football. Haven't played the toughest schedule yet, but they got some studs. Avery McFadden and Thomas Stanley and Caleb Sutton and Grant Holiday and all these guys. Tyson Moses are great players there for Coach Swigert. I think they go on the road and win this one too. But I do expect Clover to play better than they did last week. That was week 0. That was their first ball game last week. You always get better week 0 to week 1. So I think they do play better this week. But I still think Hillcrest a little too good for the Blue Eagles right now.
Yeah, they certainly should be. We'll have White Knoll go to Colleton County. Ashley Ridge will be at Conway. Dutch Fork will welcome Huff into town. Huff trying to get a win over South Carolina team. Was it Burns that knocked them off?
Yep.
2 weeks ago.
We got to talk about Dutch Fork for a second. 0-2, first time since I think it was 2015. As I have my notes, we still talked about on the recap show the other day. They got to figure out the offense, John. John Hunt goes down week 0. They play Ethan Offing last week. Can't get the pass game going. Can't really get the run game going. Scored 6 points last week. They got a good kicker with Justin Welch, was certainly helps them a lot. They got a good defense. If they can just score 20 points, they're going to be okay. But can they find a way to do it? I don't know. I like their chances in this ball game because looking back at that Huff Burns game, Burns shut them down defensively, just didn't let them do anything. I think Dutch Fork's defense is good enough to do that as well. If they can find a way to score just a couple points, I like the Silver Foxes to finally get in the win column.
Yeah, you got to put some faith in Coach Knotts to have give him a week to figure this out on, because he's probably thinking the same thing, Kev. Hey, if we can just score some points, you don't have to score 30 or 40.
Right.
If you can put up 20, your defense can probably take you the rest of the way. But I feel like we've kind of glossed over the last few years about the talent that Dutch Fork has had on the wide receiver side of the ball last few years. They don't have a Jalen Hyatt anymore. They don't have any Antonio Williams anymore. Those guys are hard to replace, and they're seeing that right now. But I think hopefully they bounce back well. I always point for the South Carolina schools over the North Carolina schools.
Oh yeah.
Another fun game here. Fort Dorchester will be hosting Georgia powerhouse Grayson.
Yep.
Don't expect Fort Dorchester to win this ball game.
It's gonna be tough.
But hey, use it as a learning experience and get what you can out of it.
Yeah, Grayson very good. Fort Dorchester good as well. Don't know if they're quite Grayson's level.
And then over in Gaffney, big game for the Indians on the reservation. South Point comes to town. This is a big time ball game. I'm thinking this might be the game that I go to Friday. South Point, certainly talented enough, certainly good enough to win this game. But can you do it in that environment is a totally different question. I think they're good enough to do it. I think they do it. Honestly, I think South Point wins this ball game. But that's a heavy task. And Gaffney, they're certainly going to be ready for this ball game.
Everybody remembers week 0 last year. Gaffney, South Point over in D3 Stadium. South Point just punched those boys in the mouth early, and that was it. Gaffney went on to have a great season, of course. So did South Point. Gaffney started off, lost to Crest 2 weeks ago. Played really good last week against Union County. Union County is awful, so don't take too much from out of that, I don't think. But Gaffney's a good football team. Staten's getting his feet wet still. They got Little John and they got Melly and those guys. Obviously, Jaden McDowell's a stud at running back. The defense is going to get better and better. Not sure if all the guys are healthy this week or not. They had a couple guys out back in week 0. So if they'll be back or not, I don't know. I think Gaffney's got a good chance. I think South Point's offense hasn't really impressed me yet. That Spartanburg defense is pretty good. I will say that, but still, they didn't score a ton of points. Obviously, week 0, they played Rock Hill last week. Okay, whatever. I mean, everybody beats Rock Hill, right? But I think I like Gaffney here in a close one. I think just they want revenge from last year for one, and it's not an easy place to play, the reservation, man. I think Riley Staten is going to put his stamp. Is the Gaffney quarterback here? I think the Indians win a close one, like Patrick said.
Yeah, it certainly should be a good ball game. I'd be very, very surprised if it's not a one-score game either way. It's going to be a lot of fun over there. We've got Sumter will be at Goose Creek. Fun matchup here. I think the Gamecocks, though, are a couple steps ahead of Goose Creek in this one. Dorman will be at Greenwood. River Bluff going to Irmo. That's a fun ball game there in the Midlands.
Yeah, that's an interesting one there. River Bluff undefeated, taking a step down to play Irmo, of course. But A.J. Brand, the quarterback, has been getting it done. Irmo's had 2 big wins already. They're a team to look out for in 4A. I think they win this ball game, too, at home. But we'll learn a lot about both squads in this matchup.
Yeah, that game over at W.C. Hawkins. I like the Yellow Jackets in this game, too. I think they win it. We'll have Woodruff going to J.L. Mann. Rock Hill will be at Lancaster. Catawba Ridge going over to Nation Ford. A little Fort Mill rivalry game there. Malden will be at Powdersville.
Both teams need a win. Malden only played once, but they got the brakes beaten off them last week, 55-0 by Bowling Springs. Powdersville 0-2, 2 1-point losses. I think they're gonna figure it out. They got enough talent. They're gonna be okay. Derek says if they fall in love with the run. Yeah, I got to get that going. The Hudgens kid's a heck of a player at quarterback, but he's had a couple bad mistakes, bad decisions the last couple weeks, it seems like. But I think they're going to be okay. I think Powdersville wins this ball game, I believe, at home and gets off the snide. Yeah,
and they're a couple plays away from being 2-0, and we could be sitting here going, "Wow, Powdersville's 2-0 against 2 really, really good teams."
Mm-hmm.
They had their foot on Abbeville's throat there at halftime, and Abbeville came back and does what Abbeville does. Play hard all game, and they came back and won that game. I agree. I think Powdersville will be fine. They'll be okay, and I think they're the better team in this one. They should win this ball game in my book. We'll have Woodmont going to Riverside.
That's a sneaky good ball game there. Woodmont 2-0. Jordan Sink getting it done at quarterback there. Riverside, tough loss last week to JL Man. They got some pieces. Marcus Downs going to Georgia Tech. Defensive lineman there. Mikkel Skinner is a big-time player. I think that one, if Woodmont wins that ball game, we're going to see that they're the real deal. Riverside, we'll see how they come out as well. Andy says, Woodmont, great individual talent, learning to play together. Yeah, that's going to be, like I said, that's a fun ball game there between the Warriors and the Wildcats.
That could be a close game, too, there. We'll have West Florence at SCISA. Broome will be at Spartanburg. A Broome team that's pretty good this year.
I tell you what, I think Jarrell said, I don't know if it was just when we were talking today or on the recap show, that's a trap game for Spartanburg. Spartanburg has a huge win over Dutch Fork. Obviously, it's not the Dutch Fork team that just won state, of course, but anytime you beat Dutch Fork, it's a huge win. You're going to play a 2-class down opponent, a 3A Broome there. Big-time trap game vibes there. The Spartanburg offense has not looked great the last couple weeks. Jalen McGill gets loose a couple times. Maybe Broome can pull off an upset. I know it's a county rivalry. Broome obviously wants to win this ball game. I think Spartanburg a little too much talent, of course, a little more depth and whatnot, but they better come to play. They better come to play in this ball game.
Yeah, I think the Vikings win this game, but I could certainly see this game being a lot closer than what the Vikings want it to be. Chapin will be at Spring Valley. Myrtle Beach going to St. James. Stratford will be hosting Lexington. Wando will be hosting RB Stall. Cane Bay goes to West Ashley. Westside hosting TL Hanna.
A fun rivalry game there. I believe Westside won that one pretty handily, I think, last year, John.
Wild, yes.
Westside took a loss last week to BHP. Jamar Boston did not play. Not sure if he's back or not. I don't know. TL Hanna has been very impressive now. 2 weeks ago, they beaten Bowling Springs, beaten Greenville. Westside better get that offense figured out. 2 really contrasting styles there with the spread of the Westside and the kind of the triple option there, wing 2, whatever you want to call it, TL Hanna. Interesting rivalry matchup. Fun ball game over in Anderson County.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I think TL Hanna gets their revenge this year from that loss last year. And then rounding out 5A, will be Blythewood at Westwood.
Is that a rivalry game? I mean, I feel like they should have like a name for that, like the Wood. Like I don't know.
Well,
something.
that would be cool. Blythewood, when Blythewood, Westwood opened later than Blythewood. Blythewood and Ridgeview, that's the rivalry because, Ridgeview lost a bunch of kids to Blythewood. That's really where all those kids went. And then Westwood was more down the road. And I don't know where the kids that are at Westwood, I don't know where they fed in from, but I think that Blythewood Ridgeview's got a little
bigger juice to it. Yeah. Okay. So, Drill, any comments on 5A we need to get to before we roll into 4A?
Nothing specific 5A that I just want to point out, but I'm just going to roll through a bunch of comments. We've had a lot of interaction here.
Let's
little snack talk. It's some good stuff here, man. So we'll just roll through them all.
Abbeville by 20 plus. Love it, Greg. Those boys could be playing anybody, and they're probably about 20 plus. They're really good. Yeah, Greenville loaded with some Carolina talent for sure. Big Bluff, big ball game this week, Khalid. No doubt about it. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for tuning in as always. Excited for that Silver Bluff Midland Valley game. Yeah, Midland Valley's in here again. I mean, they keep playing big time matchups, and they got a good squad for sure. Yeah, I think you're right, Brian. Huff is a team that Dutch Fork needs to beat on Friday night. There you go, John.
All right, cool. If I come, I'll let you know, Patrick.
Yeah. Patrick, you got a hat for him, too. That'd be great.
So I can take a picture, and just rub it in everybody's face that hates on Gaffney. That'd be great.
Ladder's running back 1,500 yards last season. Yeah, he's off to a great start as well, Justin. This team, 2-0. We'll see what happens here as we continue to roll through the season. Yeah, pretty crazy to think about how they lose, week 0, go for 2, don't get it. Last week, Abbeville goes for 2, gets it to beat them. Crazy how that works out. Brooms get the brooms. Yeah, I like that.
I've seen somebody break out a broom after a broom game, and that did not go over well. I may have been involved in that. It might have been a Lugoff Elgin. They don't think that's very funny when they're on the losing end.
All right, guys, we can keep rolling.
Perfect. Let's look into some 4A action here, John.
All right, starting in the Midlands, Airport will host Lamar. Carolina will be at Berea. Blue Ridge hosting Greer. Bluffton will be hosting Woodland. Wilson will be at Dillon. Fun ball game here after what Wilson falling to Marion last week. They gotta be on it. They gotta be on it this week.
This is one last week. Last year, I believe Wilson had a big lead. Dillon comes storming back behind Ty Martin last year. He's obviously gone, but they got Oxendine, they got Fling, they got the big tackle Josiah Thompson. Mauling the way up front. I think Dillon wins this ball game, but I really like those athletes. Wilson has Bryson Scott, Jaron Waiters. Also, if you guys have not seen the clip from the Dillon game against Lamar, there's a Josiah Thompson clip where he's basically just running his guy off the sideline, just a heck of a block. A lot of fun to see, and I'm sure the Gamecock fans will love watching that one for they get in for 4 years here, starting next year. But I think Dillon wins that ball game, but a lot of speed, a lot of talent on that field.
Yeah, I like Dillon in that ball game too. We'll see Wade Hampton going to Easley. Beaufort will be at Hilton Head. Indiana will be hosting Palisades, North Carolina. First Baptist will go to James Island. North Augusta going to Lakeside, Georgia. Belt-Honeypath playing at Laurence. Eastside will be at Liberty. Lugoff Elgin hosting Darlington. North Myrtle Beach is hosting West Brunswick, North Carolina. Keenan will go to Richland Northeast. Ridgeview hosting Lower Richland.
Exciting game here.
That could be exciting.
We saw Ridgeview last week against Sumter. Did not look good at all. Sumter just out-physicaled them, out-manned them. This Lower Richland team under Coach Taylor, they want to be physical. They want to run the ball with Pearson and that crew there. Had a big comeback win over Westwood last week, a big late drive. MJ Smith, Marion Pearson getting the ball in the end zone there to win that one. This is an interesting game. Obviously, Ridgeview, you think, has got a little more depth, a little bit bigger class there, bigger school. I think Lower Richland has a real shot in this ball game, but I do think Ridgeview bounces back and wins a close one there in Columbia.
I think so, too. I like the Blazers in this one. We've got Gilbert going to South Aiken.
That's a fun one there. Two teams that have really a lot of explosive runners, put it that way. Gilbert, they want to run the ball with Coach Leapart there, and then Terrence Smith, the UConn commit at South Aiken, electric there. Javon Edwards as well. South Aiken 0-2. They play two pretty good, teams, of course, but they got too much talent. You think to keep losing at some point. I think this is the week they get it going right and get a win.
They got to play well.
Yeah.
Gilbert's not going to give them anything. This can be a tough ball game to win. Wow, South Lawrence hosting Orangeburg Wilkinson. Pickens goes to Southside High School. Strom Thurmond hosting Aiken. May River. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say a little interesting matchup there. Braylon Staley, former Aiken receiver, now at Strom Thurmond. So interesting to see how that reception will be there for him. I guess they're playing at home, so we'll see. But I think Strom Thurmond gets back on the winner track. They get a win this week.
I think so too. That's a good ball team with the Rebels. I like to see the whole team be able to play. I know they've had some, for one reason or another, not just seem not to have everybody, all their starters ready to go the whole game.
Yeah.
We'll have May River playing at Waccamaw, and Union will head up to York. And that will round out 4A.
Perfect. Anything else on 4A, John, Drill, to comment on before we move into 3A?
Again, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's roll through some comments so they don't get lost in the shuffle. We got so many here, man. It's awesome to see. Andy's got a comment there.
Yeah, Westside TL is a really fun rivalry game for sure.
Got Jay's going to be at Crestwood.
Crestwood
Jackson. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry we missed you on Friday, Jay, but excited to see. And if you guys haven't followed Jay, he does some great work with the camera, doing some good stuff there. Rashodi says Dylan wins big. I think they win the ball game as well, Rashodi. Yep, another Dylan pick there from Andy.
I like to see Wilson keep it close, but you guys are probably right.
Yeah, Jay, South Lawrence running back Zion Gilbert. I think the McCray kid is out, so I believe Gilbert's getting all the touches now. He is, a really good runner. Was at Carolina Forest. He's a good player for them. They're working out a couple pieces there at the quarterback spot and whatnot, but they got a lot of talent. They'll continue to gel and get better and better. I think South Lawrence is a real deal again.
All right, we can roll to 3A, guys.
Perfect.
All right, going in 3A, Waccamaw will go to Ashley, North Carolina. North Charleston will go to Baptist Hill. Berea hosting Carolina. Battery Creek will be at Calhoun County. Clinton hosting Newberry. We talked about that game a little bit earlier.
Yeah, fun rivalry game here. I think they're playing for I don't know what the name of the rivalry is, but I think the two mayors are playing for a belt. I think I saw that. It's a really old rivalry as well. A fun matchup. I think Clinton's a little bit better, a little more talented, but Newberry, they had their bye week last week, John. So they've been preparing for this game now for 2 weeks. So extra prep time there. Obviously, Jamel House, our week 0 player of the week, had a huge game. He's a monster outside a tough matchup. Huge, can run really well. Also, they got the quarterback, Satterwhite there is getting it done. But I think they may be a little too young. But I say all this, and I think about the Clinton, the injuries. Jaden Robinson, we think he's probably out. They've got a new quarterback there trying to figure it out. Can Coach Campbell's defense, and I got to rely on them, like Zach said there. This thing is going to be a good ball game, I think, from the 3A and 2A squad here. I think Clinton at home, just tough place to play. But I like the Red Devils in a tight one here. Yeah, a belt presented by Clinton Newberry Natural Gas Authority. There we go.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like Clinton. I like
for
the Red
some
Devils.
sponsorship money.
What'd you say, Drill?
We're going to have to hit them up for some sponsorship money. Thanks, Zach.
I love it. So, yeah, that's a fun ball game there. Coach Jeter and Coach Fountain, two of the best in the biz. That'll be a good one.
I think that was Jay mentioning he's going to go to Sumter for Andrew Jackson at Crestwood. Andrew Jackson, really fun team to watch. Running back Thompson he's a load. He is very talented.
And then flip it over, Crestwood scored 60 last week and lost in a ball game. Javion Martin, huge game there. He is, I'm telling you guys, one of the best quarterbacks in the state. Absolutely electric, can run it, can throw it, makes all the throws, makes good decisions. You need to go check out his highlight tape. He is really special. I think Crestwood bounces back a little too much offensive talent. I think they win this ball game, John. But, if you're Andrew Jackson, you lose this one, that's okay. I mean, Crestwood's a very good football team.
Yes, for sure. We'll have Lakewood going to Dreer. East Clarendon is hosting Manning.
That's a Saturday game now, I believe.
Is that Saturday afternoon? Do we know Saturday night?
I don't know what time Saturday that one is.
We'll have Fountain Inn hosting Crescent. Philip Simmons will be at Georgetown. Emerald goes to Hampton County. Woodruff going to JL Mann. Lake City hosting Kingstree. Laurence.
Also Saturday. That one is Saturday at 11 a.m. I do know that.
All right. AM football. We have Laurence hosting South Columbus, North Carolina. Marlborough County will host Scotland, North Carolina.
Interesting game here. Marlborough County off to a good start. Big win last week over Sherrall. Pretty good 2A Sherrall team, we think. The Purvis kid had a big game. Anthony gave us some stats earlier for them. That defensive line has been really tough for them there. Scotland County, don't know a ton about them, but I think they're usually pretty good, I think, John. Don't know for sure. But Marlborough County, they're going the right direction under Coach McCollum. I think they win again. I don't know quite how good they are, but I think they're pretty solid.
think so too. I think they're slowly getting back to what we expect that Bulldog program to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to laugh to say this because I just don't know this school, Kev. West Oak is playing the South Carolina Spartans.
Yeah, I don't know much about them either, John.
I don't think it's not USC State, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, I don't know that one either. West Oak, they got a win last week, I believe. Is that right, Drill? Do you remember?
Yeah,
Drill,
West Oak did win last week.
They got a win. They might get 2 wins.
Beat.
They might get 2 wins. That'd be impressive for those guys. They usually struggle in football a little bit.
We'll have, speaking of struggling at football, these guys have been pretty good lately, though. Palmetto going to Travelers Rest.
Palmetto, new coach Ryan Norton still looking for his first win there. Travelers Rest, big win last week over Wade Hampton. Interesting to see what Coach Lancaster can do there at home. I don't know, Drill. I'm sorry about your Devil Dogs. I kind of want to take Palmetto to win this one, but we'll see.
Go dog, man.
I got you, Drill.
Yeah, that offense is rolling, dog. We scored 60 last week. Come on now.
We'll have Chesney go to Walhalla and Wren hosting Seneca. That's going to be a pretty good ball game over at Wren High School.
You know, Wren played Jefferson last week out of Georgia. Sammy Brown, a really good football team, of course. They lose out. They were they were competitive. They hung in there. Seneca has not given up a point yet in 2 games. They're playing really, haven't played the stiffest competition, but they haven't given up a point yet. So I think Seneca wins this game, but Wren, I think, is a program that's continuing to get better. And got a lot of young pieces, and they'll get better and better as the season goes on.
I like Wren.
Okay.
I think Wren wins the ball game. You guys want to hop into 2A? We got some comments for 3A we want to go over.
Another Dylan shout out.
Big Dylan, hey, big matchup, Robert. Looking forward to seeing that Wilson game.
Got to see
Jay. I hope so too, man. I hope so. We'll catch it at some point. Martin is a stud. He needs to not be slept on. He's a big time player.
Yeah, he shouldn't be.
Andy takes Clinton closer. Yeah, I think so too, Andy. I think especially with the injuries that Clinton has right now, going to be a tough ball game for them. But I like it. Jay, Camden is strong again. I think they're still working on the defensive line a little bit. Lost a lot of pieces last year with McLeod and Jones. Offense is better.
They're throwing the football a little bit now.
Defense with Krim is playing really good. If you missed our Camden Hartsville preview, you can go back and check that out after we're done here. It's one of our first games we talked about. Definitely get into that one with Grayson White and Hickman and Mayrant there. But a lot of good teams there. Andy says coming over TR. Yeah, I think so too, Andy.
That's
I think
a good point.
Coach Norton doing a good job there. So we'll see how that one turns out.
Andy's not going to be allowed to comment the rest of the year. So
that one must have slipped out from Jarrell.
All right, guys, we can keep rolling.
All right, going into 2A. We've got Carter's Bay going to Andrews. Bamberg Earhart hosting Barnwell. Exciting matchup there.
Both teams need a win. Surprising losses from both. Barnwell losing on Thursday to Blackville Hilda, a 1A school. Bamberg gets number 1 in the polls. They're turning to lose to Denmark Olar. Just forgot how to tackle on the last touchdown, man. Just let
that
the
was
guy
fun to watch.
Let him run free there on him. But that's a fun matchup. I believe Barnwell won that one last year, I think, but it's always a good rivalry there. I think Bamberg bounces back with all the depth they have. Coach Crosby will get those guys right. I think they're a little better gelled, a little more, together at this point with Barnwell is. Barnwell's replacing a lot of pieces there. I think Bamberg gets back on the right side this week.
I agree with you there. I think Bamberg wins this game at home. Batesburg-Leesville is hosting Rich Spring-Monetta. Bluffton hosting Woodland. Academic Magnet is going to Burke. North Central will be at C.A. Johnson. Central at Pageland hosting Marion. Carolina Forest hosting Oceanside.
Yeah, I do want to hit on that Marion game right quick.
Yeah.
Central Pageland, a team the past couple years has had a stacked defense. Couldn't score much, it seems like. So they will be tested by this Marion offense. Quayshede Scott, Gabe Cusack's a stud there. Of course, obviously Tyshawn Sanders as well as a playmaker for them on the defensive side of the ball. I think this Marion team, I said it after week 1 when they beat Lakeview in a closer ball game than people thought it was going to be. I was like, maybe that's a good thing. They've had some good runs in the regular season, have lost in the playoffs when people thought they shouldn't the last couple of years. Maybe it's good for them to have some close ball games early on, learn how to win a little better, things like that. They bounced back. Big win over Wilson last week. I think Marion wins again over Central Pageland, and I think they might blow them out.
Yeah, I think they win this game pretty handily. I think they're I think they're quite a bit ahead of the Eagles in this game. Blacksburg will head to Cherryville, North Carolina. Louisville going to Chesterfield. Columbia hosting Edisto.
Yeah, Louisville, big bounce back win last week over Buford, a game that got scheduled late due to some some COVID things and whatnot there, and some other situations. But Louisville looked really good, kind of a get right game for them. I think they continue to roll.
And Louisville, they're number 1 in the media poll this week that was released earlier today. Moving on, we've got Timberland will go to Cross. Eau Claire hosts Pelion. Gray is going to Hammond.
That's a fun game there. This Hammond team last year took Gaffney to the brink, a 5'8", team. Obviously, a SCISA team with Hammond. Usually doesn't have the depth of those higher levels, high school league guys, but like a 1 or 2A school, they probably do have that kind of depth. Hammond, the team we haven't heard a lot about. They lost to Prince Ave 2 weeks ago, a really good team out of Athens there. Gray Collegiate, 2 big wins over Christchurch and, Crestwood last week. I think Gray wins this ball game, but if Hammond plays them tight, if Hammond somehow wins, don't be surprised. Like, I know you guys think a lot of times private school, public school, whatever. Hammond's like a different level. I mean, they are really, really good. That should be a fun ball game in there, Columbia, between the Skyhawks and the War Eagles.
Yeah, I expect this game to be very competitive. I do like Gray in this one by a little bit too, though. I think they have a little bit more talent, from what I know. Mm-hmm. Emerald will go to Hampton County. Hannah Pamplico hosting Sherrall.
That's a sneaky good ball game too. One that we thought about for our pick'em contest, I believe. Sherrall, tough loss last week. They're figuring out a couple things on offense, but they got some talent, some young talent especially. Hannah Pamplico lighting up the scoreboard. Wade Poston had 2 big games already. Jamarcus Williams, I think, ran for 200+ last week over a North Central team that beat Johnsonville team the week before.
Beat them bad.
So Hannah Pamplico looking really good, lighting up the scoreboard. That's a fun one there. I think the Raiders at home win this one, but that could be high scoring.
I think so too, and this is a good measuring stick for Sherrall as well. This is a program that was not good, really not good the last 2 years, but they really started to improve and come on strong toward the end of the year last year. They're super excited about what they've got in that locker room. So very hopeful are the Braves, and if they can put together a good showing Friday, that will go further in developing this season. We'll have Wagner Sally. We'll go to Lake Marion. Lee Central hosting Buford. Eastside will be at Liberty.
How about this? Liberty 2-0. We have Brew pop in our spaces on Friday night. Tell us that. This will be a tough matchup. A bigger school with Eastside coming to town. But the Flames looking good so far, John.
Yeah, very good. I don't know that they win Friday, but hey, they've got a whole season ahead of them where they can really do some damage. McCormick will host Fox Creek. Whitmire goes to Mid Carolina.
Fun game there. I think Whitmire has a real chance to win this one. They looked pretty good so far this year. A big win last week over Spartanburg Christian. Running back had a big game for them. I believe it was Shumpert was his name. I think Coach Campbell and the guys have a chance to pull off this win over Mid Carolina.
I think so too. Green Sea Floyds will go to Mullins.
I think Coach Martin gets his first win as a head coach this week. Mullins is down bad, boys. There's no other way to put it. They're down bad. I think Green Sea Floyd's a little bit better than the Auctioneers.
We'll have Whale Branch going to Ridgeland Hardyville. Saluda hosting 96.
This ball game, 96 2-0. Have won two close ball games under Coach Bennett. Off to a great start there. Saluda, traditional 2A power here. Lost a ton of seniors. Haven't played the best competition yet this year under Coach Young. But we know they got playmakers. A-Rance back at quarterback. They've always got talent outside. I think this is a really tough test for 96 on the road here. You've been to Saluda. I mean, it's a great place to have a ball game. I think the Tigers win this one in a close one here.
I think Saluda wins too. It'd be great for 96 to keep it competitive though. Mm-hmm. Abbeville, boy, this is a good one here. Abbeville going to Southside Christian. At Southside Christian will find out where they need to improve in this ball game.
Abbeville on a roll already, blew out McCormick week 0, came back with the big win over Powdersville last week. Altavius Patterson playing great ball for them. Jay Hill playing great. DeMarcus Leach, the defensive side of the ball, is a stud back there, getting some D1 looks already. On the other side, Southside Christian, I feel like we don't know a lot about them yet, John.
That's very true.
I think they won back-to-back state titles a couple of years ago. Last year started off really slow, got hot towards the end of the year, but they played some really good, talent. But now they're replacing the quarterback. Corey Martin's gone. They got Cohen in there instead. They've got Mikael Woodfield's gone, replacing him as well. Southside Christian, I think, is going to be fine in 1A, but I think this week they've got a very tough task on that. I think the Panthers win this one big.
Yeah, I think so too. Abbeville is just very big and physical, especially with that running game that they have. And, they're going to beat up and they're going to wear down just just about everybody that they would come across.
Yeah.
Not just on their schedule, but anywhere across the state. They're just that big and tough.
Yeah.
Abbeville in this one. St. Joseph's, hang out in the same region here. St. Joseph's will host Landrum, and Aiken will go to Strom-Thurmond.
Yep.
And Chesney going to Walhalla.
Coach Stone looking for his first win. They played a tough ball game last week. Couldn't quite pull it off, but I think they got a young squad there, a good squad there. I think they beat Chesney, but we'll see. Drew, any 2A comments before we look down at the 1A bracket?
Oh, yeah, man. It's getting fun over here. Before that, let's go to 3A. Got a question for you guys about Dillon.
I'm going to take Dillon 35-21. 2 scores for the Wildcats.
I'm going to say, I'll say 35-14.
Okay. Rashodi, I know he was running back as a beast. Yeah, Jamarcus Williams, a stud, man. He's a junior. Really, really good player for those guys.
And then we're going to have a little fun.
Uh-oh. I hope Corey's joking. He's joking with the laughing faces, right? He's joking with the laughing faces. Yeah, Andy says he takes Abbeville. Yeah, I think everybody's taking Abbeville. I mean, no offense to Southside Christian. Abbeville's a really good football team. I mean, I think they roll.
Yeah, I mean, you can
tell them to stop it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you can put just about anybody next to Abbeville, and there's not going to be many that you're going to pick over those guys.
Yep. Perfect. Anything else? Abbey by 40. Yeah. It might be a name your score type game. We'll see.
Well, it worked.
they will come out now. They'll come at you, Corey. Be ready now.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up.
Anything else, Terrell?
No, that's it. We can go ahead.
Perfect. Let's look down at 1A now, John.
All right, going into 1A, Christchurch. They will go up to Asheville to play the Asheville School.
Don't know much about them. Christchurch, big bounce back win last week. Deshaun Reeder, obviously a stud there. Jackson Rep had a big game last week. Tucker Hendricks had a big game. I think it was 11 for 11 last week, 12 for something like that. Huge game for them. Don't know anything about North Carolina School out of Asheville, but like we always say, when our guys travel across state lines, we're taking the Palmetto State team. So let's go Christchurch.
I like the odds. Bethune-Bowman will be hosting Hunter Kenner Tyler. Allendale Fairfax going to Blackville Hilda after their big win, Blackville Hilda last week. I don't know. You think they continue to take that momentum? I think they do.
I think so. Coach Jones has got those guys believing. You know, I saw a great video that our buddy Kurt put out. Kurt in the Game on Facebook and YouTube had a great little kind of had the preseason hype in there from Coach Jones. Had some great highlights from that ball game. Blackville Hilda, I think, has got some real talent there. I think they win this ball game and back it up 2 weeks in a row.
We'll have Carleton Prep. We'll go to Branchville. Then Great Falls hosting Scotts Branch. Hemingway will be hosting Lakeview. Latta will be at McBee.
That's a pretty good game there. You know, McBee, a team that can score some points. New head coach there for those guys. Latta looked really impressive, scoring a lot of points themselves. Defense playing pretty well. I think the Vikings go on the road and get a win here in this one, John. But I think those are two teams that are sneaky good in 1A. I like Latta a little bit more, though. I think the Vikings are in for a pretty solid season.
Yeah, I like Latta too. You know, the only hesitation I have with the Vikings is, gosh, they were so good non-regional last year too. And then once they hit that region play, things really slowed down for them. But hey, it's week 2. They don't have to worry about that right now.
Yep.
Just worry about the game in front of you. We'll have Palmetto Christian going to Military Magnet. Denmark Olar, after their big win, they'll be on the road to play St. John's. I think Denmark Olar carries their momentum and wins this one on the road Friday too.
Yeah, that offense is fun. Defense has some playmakers as well. I think they're a team in 1A that we got to talk a little bit more about, John. I think they're going to be a really good team all season long. They jumped in the polls at 6 or 7 this week. They may be better than that, actually. We'll see, but I think the Vikings win again. One of our teams of the week.
Well, and everybody in 1A is going to have their eye on them now after last week.
Yeah.
They're not going to be sneaking up on anybody the rest of the year. And that actually closes out our 1A slate.
Perfect. I got some SCISA games here for us. Okay, Jefferson Davis traveling to Holly Hill, a rematch of last year's state title game, I believe that is. We've got Heathwood Hall hosting Bethlehem. Bethesda going to Thomas Sumter. You mentioned Colleton Prep going to Branchville already. Atlantic Collegiate going to Trinity Collegiate. Atlantic Collegiate, the new charter school down there at the beach. They're just getting going here. A fun one here, John. Ben Lippin traveling to Pinewood Prep. Pinewood Prep 0-2 on the season under Coach Holland. That was kind of a surprise there. I think they go to 0-3. Ben Lippin with Coach Weigel. Pretty good football team there. That quarterback, Javon Martin's a stud. Conway Christian and Faith Christian. PD Academy playing Carolina Academy at home. The Golden Eagles, tough loss to Carter Newman last week. I think they bounced back and beat Carolina. I believe they're a better football team with those guys. I think they get it figured out. I had some injury problems last week. Hopefully get that sorted out. But I think PD bounces back with the win there. We mentioned Gray playing at Hammond. We've got Camden Military going to Portergaud. Wardlaw playing Richard Wynn. Richard Wynn's a really fun 8-man team. The Spires kids is really electric outside for them. He's doing a good job. We mentioned our game of the week, Laurence Manning traveling to Wilson Hall. John Paul II going to St. Andrews. Lee Academy going to Patrick Henry. First Baptist going to James Allen. You mentioned that one there. Calhoun going to St. John's. Williamsburg going to Florence Christian. Williamsburg, a team that won state last year at the 2A level. Florence Christian played for state in 3A, lost it there. They're 0-2 on the season. I think Williamsburg has a little too much talent. I think they may send Florence Christian to 0-3.
That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be tough for FCA.
We got Laurence Academy going to Newberry Academy. Oakbrook Prep going to King. Clarendon Hall going to Dillon Christian. Orangeburg Prep going to Northside Christian. And then Northwood Academy playing Thomas Hayward. Interesting ballgame there. Northwood Academy with Coach Waters 2-0 in the season. Thomas Hayward, a tough loss already on their record, but I think Northwood gives them another one. Drell, any more comments here from the folks before we hop into some did you miss me last? Yeah. So, William, that was one of our games of the week. Once we get done here, it's at the very beginning of the show. You can go back and listen to it. I'll put in the timestamps. That was one of our games of the week between the Mustangs and the Bulldogs. Go check that out after the show at the beginning here.
But yeah, no more comments. Let's go ahead and roll to the next.
Perfect. Let's roll into our friends of the program here.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. And if you guys are not a part of our Pick'em contest from Hannah Engineering, you should be doing that. It's a lot of fun. We put out the game sheet every Tuesday morning. It's 11 games. You pick them on a Google form. It's super easy. It's been a lot of fun. We drop your lowest score, so you still got a chance to catch up with us. Obviously, we do some weekly and overall prizes. Definitely check it out. Dre, let's take a look at our Week 1 winners if you got that sheet there for us.
Had some high scores.
There we go. We had 4 folks tied at 10. Charlie L., Dale B., Lee T., and Nick H. Good job there, fellas. John and Drill, y'all were a step ahead of me. I both had 8. I had 7. A lot of fun there in Week 1. And Drill, let's look now at our overall leaders through 2 weeks of the season. Charlie L. tied with Peyton C. and Chris S. at 17. But a long way to go, fellas. Obviously, have not dropped our lowest week. Of course, it was only 2 weeks into the season. But if you guys haven't joined that, like I said, check us out on Twitter. It's on Facebook as well. Our Pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. It's a lot of fun to do. And it gives you a reason to not only follow your team or your class or region, but to look at the whole state. So really keeps you involved. It's a really cool thing to do each and every week. Also, shout out to our players of the week. Brought to you by the George Agency. We've got Jaden Easton down at Silver Bluff, Trayvon Dunbar at Midland Valley, and then Sherrod Williams at Philip Simmons. 3 monster performances. We could have named probably 10 different guys this week. There are some guys that had crazy stats across the state, but those are the 3 that we chose. John, anything else? Any thoughts on the Pick'em or the players of the week before we kind of get into a wrap-up here?
No, we just love seeing all the talent all over the field and kids playing good and getting that recognition.
For sure. Well, if you guys are tuning in the first time, we appreciate you for doing that. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Website movinchains.com. That's MOVINCHAINS.com. No G on that. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a live preview show on Tuesday nights, usually 7 or 8 o'clock. We go live there on Facebook and YouTube. Really fun to check out. As you can see, you can comment. We'll talk about your teams. It's a really fun thing to do. We do a recap show on Sundays. That comes out audio only right now. We may add some video to that. We'll see how that goes, but that's on your podcast apps on Sunday to recap all the games from across the state. We do our Friday Night Spaces on Twitter /X, basically just a scoreboard show. So when you're riding back from the game, maybe at your house, whatever it is, pop on to Twitter, follow us there, join our space. We go through all the scores from across the state. We have people hop in, coaches, reporters, radio guys, players hop in and give us their thoughts on the game they were at or game they played in. You can hop in as a fan and tell us about the game that you were at. It's a lot of fun to do. Love hearing from you guys because we can only go to a couple games each week. Obviously, we can split up, but that's all we can do. So love to hear you guys' thoughts from across the state and how those games are going as well. So definitely tune in to that on Friday nights. We mentioned our pick'em from engineering that comes out every Tuesday. Join in on that. We do great interviews. Got some good stuff lined up for you guys as well. But it's been a fun 2 weeks already, John. Really excited for this week. I just don't know if we can see more chaos. I don't know what to think as we head into week 2 here.
Well, I'm looking at some of the standings and some of the polls, and I don't know who in the preseason show we talked about. Okay, can anybody knock off Dutch Fork? I don't know who the best team in 5A is.
Yeah,
I mean it could be half a dozen schools. You look at how cool 4A is. You got a handful of teams there that are really, really good, very competitive. 3A just top to bottom is fun. You look at all through that top 10 poll, man, everybody could be a state champion.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just so competitive right now, and everything will sort itself out as we get into the fall, but it's really, really fun right now. It's so cool seeing. I feel like we've seen a lot of lower schools from the lower classifications pulling off the upsets.
Yeah.
And not just, they beat, 5A Joe Schmo. No, they're beating good 4A, 5A teams. So it's and 3A teams too. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah, hoping the weather doesn't play too much of a havoc on this week's schedule. I had a couple games moved, like I mentioned, to Saturday already, but we're hoping the hurricane will miss us on Friday and Thursday, and we'll see how that shakes out. Luckily, have not heard any of the dreaded C word this week either. It canceled a couple games last week, taking me back to the 2020 days. I felt like there with COVID, but hopefully we don't have any this week to pop up with that. But we'll see how that goes. If you guys are just tuning in now, like I mentioned, this show stays on our Facebook and YouTube pages. You can go back and watch them. So if you're tuning in now, if you missed our chat about our CONA games of the week with Midland Valley and Silver Bluff or Camden Hartsville, whoever it is, you can go back and watch it after we're finished here. It'll be at the beginning of the show. We'll kind of put those times. We'll definitely do that. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our week 2 preview show, John. Any other final thoughts on the week from you or Jarrell as we head into what should be a really fun slate of non-region ball games here on Friday?
You got to figure out where I want to go Friday.
Yeah. I know we got a little group chat going. We've thrown out about 5 or 6 different options, so we'll see how that turns out. Jarrell, any thoughts from you before we wrap up here for the night?
I need more chaos this week. That's what I need. And I'm like John, man. I have no idea where we should go this week, man. It's going to be crazy. Like we've got it like down to 4, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun. Campaign for your teams this week. Where should we be? Where should we go?
There you go. Shoot us a chat if you got an idea for us for sure, Jarrell. Any more comments from the chat we need to roll through before we get out of here for the night?
Nothing. Just some residual stuff, from the banter that was going on tonight. So yeah, we're good to go.
Awesome.
Okay.
One more from a long-time listener though.
Yeah, good seeing man. Lakeview, big win last week. I think they go to 2-1 this week. I think they play Hemingway. I believe it is, John. I think they roll in that one as well. Hemingway is their program's got some problems the last couple of years, and I don't think they're getting better right now. So I think Lakeview wins that one again. But this is a great show, as always. I appreciate the comments. Appreciate the viewers. You guys are the best there. For Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 2 preview show here on Moving the Chains, and we will catch you guys later.